What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So Spain is on fire. Okay, Spain is on fire. Europe is on fire. You got brush fires everywhere, forest fires everywhere. You got temperatures skyrocketing, breaking all kind of records. Like it seems like the African Orishas have made their way to Europe. All right, because listen, African Orishas are just allegories for nature and its elements. Therefore, one of these Orishas made his way to Europe and decided that they're gonna, get revenge or something. All right, because the cause of the heat wave is hot air coming from Africa to Europe, creating a bubble of heat that they can't get away from. This is on top of the other heat wave coming just from global warming. So there's like double heat happening with these guys. All right. And there's all sorts of other consequences that relates to the heat. Not just the fact that they can't take the heat. Right. The infrastructure is not built for this kind of heat. Right. Also, crops, their ability to feed themselves is becoming difficult because they have failing crops because they don't have enough water. A lot of their dams and their waterways are drying up because the water is evaporating. Like, so the heat is having more of an effect than just them being hot. It's affecting the way they live completely. All right. Now, with that being said, this is a golden opportunity for African people because it seems like Europe, right, is metamorphosizing, in a way, right? Nature is kind of like making Europe, for the African. All right. So, yeah, I think we probably should be making, some of us who don't want to stay, because there's plenty of us. All right, there's enough of us going around. So this is a golden opportunity for those who can come outside, right, in this weather, to go to Europe and help support those who can't come outside. Because if you can't come outside, there's a lot of stuff you can't do. You're going to need other people to do that, right? So why not, get a bunch of people who can go outside to, go to Europe and do the things that require people to be outside. I'm just saying. Right? So, I mean, it's a terrible thing that Europeans got to go through this. But, like I said, man, they're going to have to take that up with their ancestors because the chickens always come home to roost at some point. I'm just saying. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Europe is on fire. Since mid-July, wildfires have spread throughout France, Spain, and Portugal, resulting in over 300,000 people evacuating their homes. The wildfires started due to the extremely high temperatures and heat waves across Europe. According to the BBC, officials in the Spanish capital of Madrid have said that the wildfires are the worst that the region have ever experienced. According to the European Forest Fire Information System, wildfires in the regions outside Madrid have destroyed around 1,570 square kilometers since the 1st of July. This is an area more than twice as large as the city itself. French President Emmanuel Macron called the wildfires in the Gironde region of France completely unprecedented and the largest since World War II. There have also been many wildfires that have spread across the United Kingdom. In the UK, we have been experiencing many record-breaking heat waves since May. The first wildfire broke out in March in Marsden Moor and grew to 4,300 square feet. Another wildfire started in late July in Surrey, specifically at RSPB Minsmere, one of the UK's most iconic nature reserves. As of the 28th of July, over 54,040 acres have been burnt, with 66 fires larger than 74 acres being recorded. The droughts and wildfires that we have been experiencing this summer have had a tremendous negative impact on our wildlife and our environment. This deeply saddens me. Most of the wildfires that have occurred across Europe have started due to one reason, and that is climate change. By definition, climate change is a long-term shift in Earth's average temperatures and weather patterns. Climate change means that in the UK and around the world we are experiencing more extreme weather. According to the RSPB, record-breaking higher temperatures are becoming more frequent, long-lasting, and intense. And because of this extreme weather, scale, intensity, and frequency of wildfires is increasing all over the world. There are many ways that you can help reduce your carbon footprint, such as using public transport for shorter journeys, saving power at home, and adopting a plant-based diet. Change won't happen overnight, But every little step you take helps protect the environment. Climate change is real and it is happening now. We must work together in order to save our beautiful planet.
Europe is burning before summer has even begun. From the Atlantic coast of Portugal to the plains of Eastern Europe, an immense dome of high pressure has settled across the continent. Meteorologists call it a heat dome, a vast atmospheric lid that traps hot air near the surface, compressing it and driving temperatures higher with each passing day. But this heat is not appearing from nowhere. Warm air surging northward from North Africa is feeding the system, carrying Saharan heat deep into Europe. At the same time, El Niño and a warming planet are loading the atmosphere with even more energy. Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom, and parts of the Balkans are already feeling the impact. Rivers shrink, forests dry, wildfire risks climb. Cities built for cooler climates struggle beneath temperatures that arrive weeks earlier than expected. Scientists warn this is not an anomaly. It is a glimpse into the future. As greenhouse gases continue to warm the planet, heat waves are becoming more frequent, more intense, and more dangerous. This may be one of the hottest years ever recorded. It could also be among the coolest years many of us will ever experience.
So there's a heat wave in Europe right now, and people are dying in their thousands.
More than 2,700 people in England and Wales are thought to have died from heat-related causes in May and June during the extreme temperatures.
Last year, I made a video about this, talking about how Africa can benefit from this tragedy.
France has said more than 2,000 extra people died during the last week of June's record-breaking heat wave.
Now, all the analysis and opportunities that I mentioned on that video are still true today. But at the time, a lot of you were not following me. So here's the video. Remember, this was last year. Now take a look. Europe is burning. Yeah, you heard that right. For the past couple of days, more than 2,300 people have been unalive because of the heat wave, and hundreds of fires have sparked across the entire continent because of this heat wave, and this has destroyed farms, houses, and people's properties. And Europe is already looking at Africa for solutions. You're probably wondering, Africa? What do we have to do with this? Well, let's dive in. For the past couple of days, Europe has been experiencing one of the most extreme heat wave in history, and thousands of people have been getting unalive because of the heat wave, and it's only going to get worse. So Europe is looking at Africa for solutions. But first, let's talk about why is this happening to Europe. Europe is said to be the fastest warming continent in the entire world. Now, what does that mean? It means that the temperature in Europe are going up much faster than they are anywhere else in the world. And European populations are not used to the heat. That's why many of them are getting unalived by the heat wave. Europe is found in the North Hemisphere, just next to the Arctic. So for decades and decades and centuries, Europe used to benefit from that cold air that comes from the north, which comes down. If you remember in geography, hot air is lighter, whereas cold air is denser. So the air used to flow from the Arctic into Europe, and this used to make Europe to be much more cooler. But all of that is changing now because of climate change. The water and the area around the Arctic is warming up. So the temperature difference between Europe and the Arctic is no longer that much, which means that all that air is no longer rushing downwards towards Europe. This means that wherever there's a heat wave, it doesn't move. It doesn't get blown away by that air that used to rush from the top. And also that air used to cool things down. And because it's no longer flowing to the south, things are no longer cooling down. That's why they're having all of these heat waves. Now, other things that are adding into this is because Europe has been developed for a while now. So most of their streets are paved. They don't have a lot of trees, and that is a problem. You can see in some of these pictures that all of the streets are paved with rocks and pavement, and all of this absorbs heat and then bring it back, making the situation even worse. Whereas if you look at Africa, in a place like South Africa, for example, most of our streets, including in the CBD, there's trees everywhere, which creates a shade and it absorbs most of that heat, which keeps our cities calm and cool. Now, the third thing is that most European countries don't have a lot of air conditioning. So Europe has only 20% air conditioning in their houses in the entire continent. That is crazy. And also, their public buses and public transport don't have air conditioning because they are never used to the heat. It used to be only heaters because it gets cold, but now it's getting really hot and really fast. Here's a video of me showing you one of the buses here in the UK and the size of the windows that they have in their public transport and how much it opens. It opens just a little bit. And lastly, because Europe is densely populated, they don't have a lot of forests, which usually would absorb most of this heat. So this is the reason. And because of that, all of the carbon dioxide that gets emitted doesn't get taken back into the forest because they don't have a lot of forests like we do in Africa or in South America or in Asia. So why are they looking into Africa? Well, you probably remember a couple of months ago, Ursula von der Leyen, who's the chairperson of the European Union, visited South Africa and she pledged 5 billion euros, somewhere around 5 billion euros, into this green energy transition. And all in all, they are going to pledge over 150 billion euros to be invested in Africa into green energy initiatives. Now, why does Europe want to send money to Africa for green energy initiatives? Well, what they want to do is that they want to create something called green hydrogen in Africa, then import it back to Europe and use it there. Now, before you come after me, I'm not a big supporter of this idea. I feel like Africa needs to use cheap energy for at least another 200 years, the same way that Europeans developed their economies over time using coal and emitting all of these greenhouse gases that are becoming a problem now. It's not fair for them to force us to transition when our economies are still too small and too weak. How about we also use cheap energy to grow our economies, then we can talk about transitioning to green energy. So what the Europeans are saying now is, well, because Africa is one of the most poorest or less developed continents, we still have a long way to go to catch up with them. So instead of us burning coal for the next 400 years, they're going to help invest in our continent to change into green energy. But what do I think about this? Well, I think as an African or as Africans, we need to be proactive about things like this. We can benefit out of this thing that is happening to the Europeans. I'm not saying we are happy that it's happening to them, but we can benefit out of it. First of all, Africa has the youngest population in the world, which means that we have a lot of people who are willing to work. So how about these European people or European countries and companies move their production into Africa? Therefore, there will be less emissions happening in Europe. We get skills, we get jobs, we get better economies, we get infrastructure from that. It's a win-win for everybody, the same way China did it. Also, we will have cheaper labor. A person who's working in Europe will probably want to be paid 60,000 for that job. But in South Africa or in Africa in general, even if you were to train them and then pay them 30,000, they'll probably be okay with it, which means that more jobs, more money for our economy, the growth of our economy, infrastructure, and also skill transfer. Thirdly, Europeans have been complaining about mass immigration. People who are coming from North Africa, who are coming for better lives in Europe. Well, I guess, including me. But if you were to move production and boost the economies of Africa, there won't be a reason for them to move this side. So you hit 3 or 4 birds with one stone. But the problem is that with our African leaders, we're not approaching this proactively. We are not approaching the Europeans with a solution. We are waiting for them to come to us and tell us what they want to do, and we just accept it. And that is a problem. Africa needs to start approaching these other problems with saying, we have this plan. We know it can work for you, even though we know that it will help us as well. So that's my take. I think Africa needs to approach the Europeans with a single mind of saying, if you move your production to Africa, upskilling of Africa, investment in Africa, it will solve almost all of your problems. You will reduce the amount of emissions you're making. You will reduce the amount of migrating people who are migrating from Africa to Europe. Also, you can make a little bit more money because there will be cheaper labor in Africa. Of course, in the beginning, as time goes, the labor will go up as well. And you hit multiple birds with one stone. So, what do you think? Do you think Africa should embrace this opportunity to gain from it, or do you think we should stay out? Let's talk about it in the comment section. If you're interested about things like this, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is in the bio above. You can go and click there, and then you can find me with more detailed analysis of topics like this, and we can talk about what I should cover next.
What is that? I don't know. What is that? That's ogre. Oh, it's a goblin. It's nasty.
Yep, time to go. That motherfucker coming over here. Ooh, shit. Hey, Carlo, bitch, look behind you. Ooh, shit, motherfucker.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.